Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Sunday. It's Daryl here. It's 4 a.m. bright and early here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Okay, today I get up at 2 a.m. I go through all the news media stories overnight. Then I go to the liberal side, see what they're talking about. I go to the conservative side, and there's an uproar. Story after story. The Post, Daily Mail, The Sun, Fox, Blaze, The Wire, all talking, and then all the talking heads, all talking about Patrisse Cullors, one of the Black Lives founders, how she's a fraud, how she's been going on a real estate buying binge. I'm going to get to these things in a second. All right, and they're all up in arms. Then I read, and I don't quite get this. You know, I'm not seeing what the uproar is about. And then I look at the comments on these right-wing pages from average people, average right-wing Trump-supporting people. And I can't believe what I'm reading. One said something like, "I effing knew it," all capitals. "She's a fraud. Now she can live with the people she hates and call the cops on them all the time," and all this other stuff. And I don't get it. I don't. What I see somebody who's been successful trying to achieve the American dream, getting a mortgage, because I didn't find anything where she bought this in cash by any means. So I'm more than likely it's a mortgage, a small down payment. What's that? 5-10%, a mortgage, and got herself a piece of the American dream in a nice place in California. And oh my gosh, she's a black woman and she's the founder of BLM. How dare she? Why isn't she living in the ghetto with her people? Why isn't she giving all her money to her people? Her money to her people. And they talk about her being a trained Marxist. Now, I know the basics: capitalist, communism, socialism, Marxism. So Marxism, I get it. It's against capitalism. Like today in America, we have this huge gap between the ultra billionaires, like 9 billionaires, they own almost as much as the whole rest of the country. That's just extreme capitalism out of control. And so I get what she's talking about there. I don't think socialism or Marxism means you have to be dirt poor. I think it just means we're more equal. Workers getting a fair share of the profits, right? So you could live the American dream, right? That's the way I see it. All right, so I started looking this up. Patrisse Cullors. She's got 2 degrees, I believe. She went to 2 different colleges, 2 universities, graduated. She's an artist like me, and you can make a good living being an artist. An activist. I believe she has platforms here on YouTube, on all the social media sites. You can make good money on YouTube. I got a small little tiny crap ass channel here, and I made enough money to start saving for a house on my little tiny channel. You could easily earn $100,000 in a year on YouTube. So anyway, she buys this house, 1.4, supposedly 1.4. I've seen it listed between 1.3, 1.4 to 1.5. We'll say $1.4 million. All right, and I see a picture of it in Topanga Canyon. 3-bedroom house with an outbuilding and a guest house. Now, I'll show you guys the picture, the only picture I found. It shows a modest bungalow, cottage, and I don't know if it's the outbuilding or the guest house. It could be either one, and that's what I see. It is by no means a mansion. If you show that picture to me, I'd say it's an average American house. So, speaking of average American house, I look up the average price of a house in California. $635,000, a little over $635,000. Okay, so you could say that 1.4 is almost or more than double 635, more than double the average, or more than double the average price. But that's not really true. For 1.4, you get an average house with an extra bedroom, a couple acres more of land, for that extra money, you don't get twice the house by any means. I think anybody that owns a house, I don't have to tell you guys this. For double the money, you don't get double the house by any means. Okay, so she's worked at Black Lives Matter. Now let's just go over Black Lives Matter. All right. Now that's the way I understand it. I'm a supporter. It's asking, demanding for equal treatment, especially from law enforcement here in America, that they be treated equally. To do away with racial profiling and all these unarmed African American men, one after the other, George Floyd, and so on and so on. Justice in these cases. Okay, doesn't mean you can't live in a nice house, right? She said she's quoted as saying that she's a trained Marxist. Now, I don't know what that means. I don't know if maybe her parents were also believed in socialism, Marxism, communism. I don't know. I'll tell you this is one subject that drives me nuts. Communism, socialism, Marxism, capitalism. I mean, we could argue on this all day. To me, it's against the capitalist situation we have here, where with extreme billionaires on one side, like 9 or 10 billionaires owning as much as the whole rest of the country. Capitalism out of control, where the workers are pretty much just indentured servants, slaves to the billionaire class. That's what I see. All right, so she's not breaking any tenets of socialism or capital or communism or Marxism or whatever she claims she wants to be. She's an American. She life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? Now, okay, say if I was going to buy a house. I love the ocean. One of my top things would be I had to live by the ocean. I cannot be in a landlocked state. That's the biggest thing with me. Nice piece of land, a safe place. Those are my priorities. Okay, so that's where she went. So let's look this over. So all these now, Black Lives Matter has taken in $90 million last year. Okay, she purchased a home, a modest, a little slightly above average home, a nice place in California to live. And she's being crucified for $1.4 million. Black Lives Matter brought in $90 million. Here on YouTube, okay, I believe she's on the social media sites. You could easily make $100,000. You could make $100,000 on one video. You could easily make $100,000 in 1 year. All right. From everything I found, she didn't pay cash for this house. It's a mortgage. How much do you need for a mortgage? 5%? 10% at the most? So what's that? 5% of 1 million? 10% of 1 million is $140,000. 5% would be $70,000 down payment. So she saved up $70,000. Remember now, Black Lives Matter took in $90 million last year, and she's being crucified. She must be stealing. She's a fraud. I don't get it, man. I've never seen more blatant racism in my life, and it gets worse. Now they start talking about why isn't she living with the people she cares about? Like she needs to live in some kind of brick tenement with homemade furniture because she's a Marxist in the worst section of Chicago or New York. That's where she has to stay. She has to live with her people. Otherwise, she's a fraud. She's an American citizen. She's worked hard. She's gone to school. She's dedicated her life to this movement. That is her life's goal. To me, that's a big enough commitment right there. So they ask, well, why isn't she donating? So what? So she had $70,000 for a down payment. Let's just assume that's right. So was she supposed to just take that and give that to Black Lives Matter movement too? So she's broke all the time. And then these right-wing media outlets would have been not happy, but at least they wouldn't call her a fraud if she just gave all of her money to Black Lives Matter. She doesn't deserve any happiness or the part of the American dream or any of that. Are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? And they paint it as like she went there because she wanted to live with white people and not with black people. Like I said, the first thing I consider the ocean. Some people like to live in the mountains. Some people like to live in the rural areas. Some people like to live in the city. I mean, it's a personal choice, and that's usually the first thing somebody picks. The kind of geography where you want your home. Of course, you want a safe home. And you want a lot of ground, a lot of space between you and your neighbors, a piece of ground to call your own, the American dream. That's what she got. That's what she got. You know, and I can't believe what they're saying on these right-wing media sites. She's a fraud. Then there's this other one, I think it's The Post, saying that she's been going on a real estate buying binge for the last couple of years. Well, I looked into that. This real estate buying binge, she's bought several homes that totaled $3.2 million. I think that was their claim, and they're the only ones claiming this. And I don't even know if this is true or not. First of all, $3.2 million, and you're buying 4 homes. That means each home is about average price. So she bought a home, she moved, she sold it. She bought a home, average home, she moved, she sold it 4 times over the last couple of years. And she's on a real estate buying binge. She's a fraud. Are you freaking kidding me? Talk about double standards. We got a woman that's worked hard, that's dedicated her life. So in the pursuit that African Americans can leave their house, could send their kids out without worrying that they're going to be hurt or worse by officers of the law. A noble cause. Okay? It doesn't mean she has to give every penny she ever makes for the rest of her life. She has to give it to all of her neighbors. That's not what Marxism or communism means. I can't believe what these people, what they're saying on the right side over here. It's the most blatant racism I've ever seen. I'll talk more about this in coming videos. You guys have a good Sunday.